You've seen the stores and you've heard their slogans. Why pay more? Expect more savings.
But big box retailers are costing you big thanks to legal maneuvering. TV5's Gino Vici has a special I-Team report on what are known as dark stores.
You're draining our local units of government.
You probably shop at one of these stores. They're called big box retailers, and they boast lower prices for the consumer. But now some critics, including supporters of big business, argue these multi-million-dollar outfits are not paying their fair share in local taxes. And as the I-Team learned, it's becoming much easier because of something called dark stores.
For me, it seemed to be just total common sense. This isn't right, and we got to level the playing field.
Meet Republican State Senator Tom Casperson. The lawmaker from the UP has been a longtime supporter of big business, but not this time. He's leading the charge against big box retailers, trying to stop them from taking advantage of a loophole in the way the state assesses the taxable value of such stores.
Just because it's legal at this point, in my opinion, doesn't make it right, and it certainly doesn't make it fair.
It's a complicated issue, so let's start by shedding some light on what a dark store is. Simply put, it's a vacant building once occupied by a big box retailer, like this old Kmart on Miller Road in Flint. The retailers argue dark stores have little or no value, and because they're so unique, no one would buy it once they're vacated. Oddly enough, Casperson says the value of that old Kmart in Flint, nearly 400 miles away from his district, was cited when a Menards in Escanaba challenged its property taxes and won.
They say they're unique because of their facial appearances and things like that. I would argue I could change that facial really quick and turn a Home Depot into a Menards very quick. I could turn a Lowe's into a Home Depot really quick.
Casperson insists there's another dark reason why they sit empty. They often have legal restrictions blocking a new tenant from moving in.
Valued the building because the potential buyers, you limited who can buy it.
What Casperson is saying is that in some cases, big box retailers have left a location but prohibited local governments from selling or leasing the building to someone else. For that reason, he feels the state should not use those buildings, referred to as dark stores, to determine a property's taxes.
And if this starts spreading, as I believe it started to already, we're going to end up with a problem where we're going to have to try and balance this out somehow. And unfortunately, usually the way this works is the citizen is the one that's going to get hit over this.
Unfortunately for this state, it has spread, but in more ways than one. According to the Michigan Tax Tribunal, the state agency that handles disputes, in the past few years, nearly 200 big box stores have challenged their taxes and won. That puts local governments across the state out of more than $50 million in property tax revenue. One of the hardest hit areas, Saginaw County.
We don't think it's fair.
County Treasurer Tim Novak says revenue from property taxes is typically part of the general fund. Novak says public safety, like police and fire, is also paid by the general fund. You can see the potential problem. Not only do local governments lose property tax revenue when big box stores win these tax disputes, Novak says, unfortunately, they're also on the hook to retroactively pay big box retailers the difference they were overcharged since the stores took possession of the property.
Almost $3.8 million in the last 3 years. That's dollars refunded.
But not everyone fears the dark stores. As acting Saginaw Township and Kochville Township assessor, David Kern wants to remind everyone these big box retailers are lowering their taxes legally. But at the same time, he does have a suggestion on how to eliminate these so-called dark stores for good.
That should a big box retailer leave the community and leave the site, they either have to market that property within a certain span of time, or the property has to be demolished.
As for Senator Casperson and other critics, he's hoping a bill he introduced in the Senate addresses the financial fallout of big box retailers lowering their property taxes, because he says, as it stands, those big box stores are holding communities hostage when they move in and long after they move out.
I think you're going to see more and more communities get hit by this thing. There's no talking me off of this. This is wrong, and we need to fix it.
So in the end, the next time a big box retailer wants to move into your neighborhood, you may want to think about more than those savings on the shelf. With this IT report, Gino Vici, WNEM-TV 5.